Here is your History in a Minute. Hey everyone, we have been talking about voting rights all week, and today in our last segment on voting rights, we're going to be discussing the states that had changes to their voting laws ahead of the 2024 election. Now, although that sounds controversial, this happens almost every single election cycle, and 2024 was just no different. So let's talk a little bit about that. Probably the most controversial were the restrictions that occurred in Georgia, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. So these states implemented measures that were perceived as restricting voter access. For example, North Carolina's legislature approved a citizenship requirement for voting, prohibiting non-citizens from participating in elections. Well, why is this controversial? Well, the 2024 North Carolina voting law changes were controversial due to concerns about voter suppression, including eliminating the absentee ballot grace period, stricter same-day registration verification, and granting partisan poll observers more access. So supporters argued that these changes enhance election integrity, while critics fear they disproportionately disenfranchise certain voters and increase partisan influence over election administration. Okay, next let's talk Arizona and Pennsylvania. Both of these states experienced a mix of expanded and restricted voting provisions. Arizona's Proposition 133, for instance, aimed to prohibit nonpartisan blanket primaries, while Proposition 140 sought to implement ranked choice voting, say that 3 times fast, reflecting the state's complex approach to voting reform. So what is ranked choice voting? It's an election system where voters can rank candidates in order of their preference. And if no candidate wins a majority of first choice votes, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated, with their votes redistributed until a winner emerges. And last but not least, let's discuss Michigan and Nevada. So in contrast, these states took steps to enhance voter accessibility. Michigan expanded early voting options, and Nevada introduced measures to simplify voter registration. These changes were aimed to make the electoral process more inclusive. These developments underscored the dynamic nature of voting regulations across the United States, and it highlights the ongoing effort to balance election security with voter accessibility. And this has been your History in a Minute.